Hey, Andre, it's your old Aunt Mimi here. I wanted to read you my letter that I'm sending off to you today. I wanted to read it to you so your mama could just play you the video, and it would be like maybe Aunt Mimi was talking to you a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Hello, Andre. How you doing, big boy? I hope you and mommy are both doing well. Things are going great here. Uncle Doug is working at Wyndham. He gets to talk to different people from all over the world every day. He gets to work in a fun park right beside a big Ferris wheel. And it goes round and round, and it's real tall, and it stops if you're riding it with you right at the very top. Did I mention it was really tall? The chair swings back and forth, so it feels like you're about to fall out. It's fun and scary. It has lights on it that dance to the music that plays throughout the park. There's also an upside down house. I kind of tried to draw you a picture of it, but it looks way better in person. The story is it was brought to Myrtle Beach in a tornado. Uncle Doug got to actually go into that upside down house. He said that there is a ball in there that you can put your hands on that makes your hair stand straight up on end. Even your mommy that's got long hair, it'll make it stand up. He also said they were bicycles that you could ride on that went completely upside down and back again. So you're riding and you go in circles, upside down and over, upside down and over. I tried to draw a picture of that too, but I'm not that good at that one. I don't know how they keep from falling off when the bicycle was upside down. Anyways, I think Uncle Doug really likes his job, and I am so glad. So I hear that Andre loves to sing gospel songs. And I also heard that you and Mama have a favorite song. That is actually one of my favorite songs too. And I love singing and writing music. I always have. Even as a kid, I loved singing. I wished I'd have realized when I was little what I finally understand now. I was sometimes be afraid to sing out loud when I was little because I was afraid of what people would say about my voice and my singing, and I was afraid I sounded bad. I was scared that people would laugh at me, so I'd be quiet. I wouldn't sing loud. Or I would try to blend my voice with someone beside me so my voice didn't stick out. I missed out on so much worrying about what others think. I should have just lived my life and praised God with my voice because we're told to make a joyful noise before the Lord. And since I found my voice, I learned that when I sing out and praise the Lord with my heart and my voice, I sing so much better. Plus, did you notice how many times I said I was afraid? And now I know that God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That is 2 Timothy verse 1:7. I realize now that fear has controlled a lot of my life. And 2 Timothy 1:7 says that fear doesn't come from God. I remember when I was a child, I had chores that I had to do, which included washing dishes after we eat supper at night. Well, part of doing that chore was taking out the excess food and table scraps. You take them out and you dumping them over the fence into a pasture for the cows and the dogs to eat. However, on this particular evening, it was dark outside. I didn't like the dark. It scared me. So I devised a plan. I hid the scraps in the crock pot. Not saying it was the best plan, Andre, but it was a plan. And I hid them in the crock pot, and then I was going to take them out in the daylight the next day. No one would ever know, I thought. That's what the devil got me to believe, anyways. He knew how scared I was, and he used that. So he didn't have to push me too far to convince me that deceiving mom and dad was a way better plan than facing the awful, scary stuff that I was convinced was outside in the dark. So I hid them. I cleaned everything else. I put the lid on the crock pot, wiped the table off, cleaned the sink out. I then dried my hands and went to watch Wheel of Fortune on the only TV we had in the living room with the rest of the family. I walked into the room, and the first thing my mom and dad said to me was, "Melissa Ann, did you take the scraps out?" I'm sure my face told the real story, but I didn't want to get in trouble. And Satan said, "They'll never know if you don't tell them." So I lied. "Yes," I said. Meanwhile, there sits the crock pot with a clear glass lid so you could see through it, right on the kitchen counter, right beside the stove. So we kept watching TV. And later we went to bed. Oh boy, I started to feel better. I slept through the night, but by morning, I had forgot all about those scraps. The sun was shining. I was looking forward to a day of playing outside. I walked out of my room and into the kitchen, and there stands Mom. That's my mom. In other words, your Nana. "Did you really think I wouldn't find the scraps in the crock pot?" she said. Boy, my heart sank. "I'll take them out right now," I said. "You better, and you wait until your daddy gets home. You're going to tell him what you did. Be prepared," she said. My heart sank. I took the scraps out, and I spent the rest of the day worrying about what I was going to say to my dad. My dad, that's your papa, when he got home. I guess to understand how much that worried me, I'll have to explain that it was very hard for me to see my dad disappointed in me. I wanted so bad for Daddy to be proud of me, not to see me as a liar. And I had lied in a big way. And I knew it was wrong. But my fear had caused me to make a terrible choice. Now, I was going to have to look my dad in the eye and admit that I'd lied. That evening, Dad got home and we all sat down for dinner. The air felt heavy to me, like I could feel it. I could look at Dad's face and I could tell that Mom had already told him. If you don't know my dad, your papa, he has what they call a tail. I always knew that if Dad had his forehead wrinkled, his eyebrows drawn together, I was in trouble. It's this right here. If I could see that on my dad's face, it was not good. It was these two little lines on Papa's forehead that showed me when I was in trouble. Nana looked at me. "Don't you have something to tell your dad?" she said. All eyes at the table turned on me, including my dad's. He looks at me disappointed. And if the truth be told, a bit angry that he was having to deal with something so dumb after having worked hard all day. Melissa Ann, Papa said. Yes, they always used my middle name when I was in trouble. Why in the world would you do that? Papa asked. Now, most people, Andre, would be smart enough to realize lying, deceiving, and not doing the right thing, being in a major hole of trouble already. Well, most people, Andre, would have been smart enough not to dig that hole any deeper. But nope, not me. Not your old Aunt Mimi. I was going deeper. There was no way I was going to tell my dad that I was afraid of the dark. I knew instantly that that was the truthful answer. But I didn't want him to see me as a coward, as someone who's afraid, scared of the dark, a baby. So what did your old man Mimi do? Boy, I lied some more. I lied again. I don't remember, in all honesty, what the lie was. I do remember the lump in my throat. I do remember the disappointment in my dad's eyes. I remember he didn't buy whatever the lie was that I told. Melissa Ann, he said, you're afraid of the dark, aren't you? No, I denied. Melissa Ann, just tell the truth, Dad advised me. But I didn't listen. The devil whispered, don't let him think you're scared. He'll be so disappointed in you. Satan is the biggest liar they has ever been. I wished I had realized that then. But no, instead of coming clean, telling the truth, I doubled down. I am not afraid. I stomped my foot. Yes, I'm as stubborn as the rest of the webs. Trying to feel brave is what it really was. One thing you should know about your family, Andre, is that we all are as stubborn as mules. Now, Papa looked at me. Melissa Ann, if you aren't scared, put on your shoes right now and take this Coke can up to your great granny's house and lay it on the front porch and then walk back home. Walk, not run, he said. Leave the can on the porch and I'll know you went and went the whole way. Now, Andre, did I mention that I was stubborn? So I made a decision, and somehow or another, I was going to deliver that can to Granny's porch. That's all there was to it. I was not telling Papa I was scared of the dark. I would never live it down. I knew this. So I went and put my shoes on. Then I went to the bathroom, just in case. I sure didn't want to pee my pants if something scared me. And let's face it, every second that I could avoid the great wall of darkness outside of our house, the better. That was 1 second longer that I had to pray. Dear God, I know I've messed up here. I'm so sorry. Please let Dad change his mind. Please let Dad change his mind. And if he doesn't, please help me on my walk. Please, please, please. Yes, Andre, I begged God. You need to have your your paw, show you where our trailer was at that time and where my great granny's old house was. It's a long way, especially to a kid walking in the dark. However, I was not going to have Papa disappointed in me. I was going to go. I was not going to admit my fear. I was begging God to help me, yes. And out of the blue, Dad changed his mind. Looking back, I think he recognized my stubbornness, number one. But I think he also realized I was scared, and I think he realized that I had learned a lesson, and he changed his mind. He told me to go get my shoes off and go to bed. You know, Nothing else was said. I went to bed thanking God for answering my prayer that night. I never did that again. That is, hide the scraps in the crock pot. It's not to say I never lied again, because I have. And yes, know it's wrong. But I don't think Dad and I ever really talked about that situation again until I was an adult. If I had have just told the truth or just done what my parents asked, I would have avoided every bit of that mess. If I had have realized that Satan was using my fear to cause me to be disobedient to what God tells us to do, which is to honor your father and mother. He says, so doing what I was supposed to do with the scraps, that would have been honoring my parents. That was not, lying was not honoring my parents. Hiding them, lying some more. Because, Andre, one thing I hope you hear and understand is that the first time you tell a lie, you always wind up having to tell more, because you have to tell another lie to cover up the lie you just told. So to have not lied and told the truth to start with, that would have been the right thing to do. So, two lessons I hope to pass on to you, my beloved little Andre, is number one, fear is never from God. 2 Timothy 1:7 is a good verse to memorize. And number two, lying leads to a web that will catch you in the end. There's an old saying, oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. And that's essentially what lying is practicing deceit. I don't really know who said that saying first, but it is so very true. Well, Mr. Andre, I guess I've taken up enough of your time now, but I do want you to know that I love you very, very much. And I pray for you and your mama and your mama and your pa and your Uncle Colton and your Aunt Chelsea often. Please tell each and every one of them that I said hello. And if you don't mind, if you'd give each of them a great big old hug from your old Aunt Mimi, I sure would appreciate it. All right. Well, I love you forever, Andre. Love, your Aunt Mimi.